Okay, first off, this is spoiler-free, so you can relax. When I first received my review copy of Red Dead Redemption 2, I was tempted to speed through it to the end, to marathon the story missions and make sure I finished the main quest line before release. But then I stopped and thought about it, and realized that that wouldn't be the best approach for me. I tend to enjoy engaging open-world games haphazardly, sometimes delighting in spending hours at some seemingly mundane task or in pursuit of a single, very personal goal. I wander around a lot, I search for secrets, I delight in exploration and testing the world's limits. So I decided to focus on that. Consequently, my review will be a review in progress, and this is the first part. Following this video, there will be a separate review discussion with my friend Greg Miller, talking in depth about our experiences, and later on you can expect a second part to my personal review. Also, this review is sponsored by Classic Movie Musts, and more about that in a few minutes. I've played just over a third of my way through total completion so far, and the short answer is, Red Dead Redemption 2 is great. It combines a solid, well-told story with a world of unparalleled scope and unprecedented beauty. In so many ways, Red Dead 2 feels like it was tailor-made for me. It's deliberately paced, it respects player agency, and it encourages me to test boundaries. I've never seen Rockstar's emphasis on cinematic excellence more perfectly realized. Red Dead Redemption 2 is really two stories that weave into one another. The first is the tale of the Vanderlin Gang, a surrogate family of your main character. From very early on, it's apparent to everyone that the time of the roving outlaw is at an end, and Red Dead 2 deals carefully with how this dawning understanding will affect each character. It's a simple narrative, but it's well executed and emotionally effective. The second story is the tale of Arthur Morgan, your individual Arthur, and how he interacts with the vast open world and its inhabitants. You have a great deal of choice when you're controlling Arthur. He's a bad dude, but you can often decide just how bad he's willing to be. And that agency extends to practically every engagement you have with a human outside of missions, and also into the way you choose to conduct yourself along much of the quest line. But there's more to Arthur's decision-making than menu-driven responses. So much of who Arthur is becomes defined by how you choose to deal with a wilderness that looks empty from a distance, but is in fact absolutely teeming with things to do. I mean, absolutely crammed to the seams with activities. Most of these you can take advantage of or ignore depending on your whim. And it's there that your story, your own surprising encounters and discoveries, the story of your Arthur Morgan, it's there that that's largely written. When your open world forays converge with the story of the gang, the result works surprisingly well, a testament to the top-notch writing and story planning featured in Red Dead Redemption 2. Arthur is your character, yet you're never completely the master of Arthur's fate. He is, despite his humanity, an evil dude, and there are times you'll be forced to be part of his acts of reprehensible violence. The tension between his more base nature and what he might become is a core theme of Red Dead 2, and I found that despite the often savage aspects of his demeanor, I liked Arthur a lot. And I found myself hoping not for his death, but for his redemption. Red Dead 2's greatest merit is its willingness to trust you. You have ridiculous freedom after the relatively brief intro, stumbling into hideouts, robberies, ambushes, hunts, legendary animals, strange encounters, bounties, new towns, and some absolutely awesome secrets. The entire second chapter of the game is packed with tutorial sections that gradually unlock new abilities. But these sections are well handled and very amusing adventures, tied to the overarching narrative of the gang's pursuit. Indeed, it's often not quite clear just what's an essential or an optional mission, and that's an approach I really appreciated. And the more the game unfolds, the more you begin to realize just how genuinely epic the scope of what Rockstar has created here truly is. I'm also thrilled that cheats are back, and I'll say no more about that to avoid spoilers, except that they're there to be found. Red Dead 2 is also a surprisingly spooky game. Some moments feel like pure horror. There are plenty of throwbacks to Red Dead 1 scattered around the world, from familiar characters to delightful references that are tucked away in every corner of the universe. But I don't think you need to know much about the first game to thoroughly enjoy and appreciate Red Dead 2, so if you haven't played it, I don't think you need to worry. I did have a little trouble navigating the menus sometimes, which were more clumsy than I wished they would be, and occasionally finding some feature or ability that I hadn't used in a while could be a little bit of a headache. But overall, it's pretty well put together. There's also a ton going on mechanically. A dizzying array of systems for crafting, camp management, horse customization, character improvement, and it all interconnects in fun and interesting ways. It's a design triumph. I absolutely adore this game. Before I give my score so far, I want to let you know my preferred scale of game rating is broken into 4 tiers: bad, meh, good, and great. Bad is a game that I find aggressively annoying or painfully unfun. Meh is a game that mostly strikes me as why bother, there's better stuff worth playing out there. Good is a game with a lot of merit that I find fun and recommend. And great is a really standout game, something deeply memorable and noteworthy. Based on what I've played so far, at just under 40% completion or so, I'm calling Red Dead 2 great. Check back in part 2 of the review to see if I still feel that way after I've completed the story. But that's not the end of the launch coverage. Stick around after the ad to find out what's coming next. Today's episode is brought to you by Classic Movie Musts, a weekly podcast that provides artistic insight and historical context to your favorite classic movies. We love movies here at Red Dead, and so do they at Classic Movie Musts. Red Dead Radio listeners should check out episodes on the seminal dramatic western Stagecoach. Yes, you should, because Stagecoach is awesome. As well as the noir western, the Oxbow Incident, and the upcoming episode on The Wild Bunch. Ooh, that's an amazing movie. Classic Movie Musts also has episodes on film classics ranging from Lawrence of Arabia to Jaws, from Blade Runner to The Big Lebowski. New episodes release every Friday on all podcast services, including Spotify, and audio-only YouTube uploads. Hey, that's great, so you can find it just about anywhere. You can also visit their website, classicmoviemusts.com, and follow on Twitter at MovieMustsPod. Remember, even with the release of Red Dead Redemption 2, take some time to keep up with the classics. I agree. Now, speaking of keeping up with the classics and keeping up with Red Dead, what's next? Well, a lot. As I said earlier, this is part 1 of a review in progress. You can expect part 2 later. Eventually, you can also expect the Red Dead Redemption spoiler cast. Don't worry, we'll warn you well ahead of time when spoilers are coming. You can also go over very soon and check out my review discussion with Greg Miller. Indeed, that may even be live right now. So hop on over there, and the two of us are going to talk about our various experiences and impressions on the game, back and forth. Then I'm going to sit down with yet another friend, not announcing who yet, and talk about our crazy open world impressions of just what's taking place. You know how it is when you're wandering in a Rockstar game. It becomes sort of a water cooler conversation. This happened to me. Well, this happened to me. Without spoiling much, we're going to sit down and talk about that. You can look for that episode this Friday. I'm really excited about getting that up for you. I cannot wait, because that's my favorite part about games like this, is talking about all the stuff that happens. And again, we'll warn you if spoilery stuff is coming there. In addition, I produce Hot Blip and a Jump, which is a show about how everything we love about video games is connected. I hope you'll check that out on my YouTube channel where you're watching this. Pockets Full of Soup, the storytelling show, which is a lot of fun. And hey, starting a new show, a game show called Contestants Are You Ready? It's coming in November. I hope you'll look right here for it. If you want to hear more updates on Contestants Are You Ready, subscribing to this channel, whether you're listening on a podcast or whether you're watching on YouTube, will be a great way to get updates on how you're able to find that. It's a quiz show, a game show with a kind of a twist to it that I think you'll enjoy. I just love that kind of thing, and you'll be able to play along. I hope you enjoy yourself with that. So that's a lot of housekeeping about Red Dead. It seems extraordinary and impossible that this game is finally here, and I'm delighted to report that I've enjoyed it so very much. I thought a lot about whether or not I should take my time with the game or try to get to the end so I could do a classic media style review, but I do think this is probably the best approach. It's a great game up to what I've seen so far, and I don't see anything at this point that makes me think it's going to get anything but better, frankly, as it goes. I hope you're enjoying Red Dead, and I'd like to know. So if you want to let us know your impressions of Red Dead Redemption 2 and some of the things that happened to you, what are some of the cool things that happened to you in the world? Because I'd love to read those on the next episode. As soon as you're done watching this, hit mail@reddeadradio.com. That's mail@reddeadradio.com, and share your experiences. We will be reading some of those on the air. If you want to advertise with Red Dead Radio, we're always glad to hear from you. And once again, that's mail@reddeadradio.com. And finally, I know everybody always asks, this is a big part of my job, what I do for a living. I'm supported a lot of different ways through my work at Kind of Funny, through freelance writing, sponsorship, but a huge portion of how I make ends meet is Patreon. Folks are always asking for Patreon money. I understand that. And there's a lot of worthy causes out there to follow. I think that what we provide here is unique and good. If you agree, patreon.com/JaredPetty or RedDeadRadio.com will take you right there. You can subscribe. $1 gets you a Patreon exclusive episode a month and some other things. $5 a month, which again, everybody gives it as kind of the price of a small meal or a city cup of coffee. $5 gets you several Patreon exclusive episodes of Am I Boring You Yet? Every month, which is an audio podcast I do. It's fun. And I hope that you'll consider that. Again, that's reddeadradio.com. Wow, just so much happening. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with Greg. I hope you enjoy Friday's episode. How long are we going to be doing this? A long time. We're going to go through the launch period talking about our stories and moving toward the spoiler cast, but also the online beta is coming. And if it's anything like what they did with Grand Theft Auto Online, we can expect very frequent updates, which means we're always going to have a lot to talk about. Also, we're headed toward that Game of the Year time, and we'll start discussions about whether or not this is the Game of the Year and what the Game of the Year ought to be at all, etc. If you enjoy what I do, you can find me at Kind of Funny Games. I work over there with Greg Miller, Tim Geddes, Nick Scarpino, Joey Noel, Cool Greg, Andy Cortez, Kevin Coelho, Andrea Renee, Gary Whitta, great people. Have a lot of fun over there making video game content on Kind of Funny Games Daily and the Kind of Funny Games Cast. You can sometimes find my writing on IGN and at all, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you watching, but you could be playing Red Dead right now. So what are you doing? Go watch that video with Greg and then go have some fun. See ya. Hey, shout out to Patreon producers Tom Bach, Stuart Ferguson, and Jonathan, whose support makes this show possible.